am I really getting on Bubba Watson right now? Pete, I never like Bubba. I mean, Bubba's a guy that maybe twice a year I'll pick. Maybe the Masters and Riviera where he tends to play really well. Maybe if you really kind of twist my arm, I might go at the Travelers
Yeah,
Championship with
plays
Bubba where he's
Travelers
played really
well.
well in the past. But, even that, I feel like you're just sort of chasing victories at this point. I never take Bubba. I think I took him a little bit when the PGA Tour returned back in May because I thought, okay, well, Bubba has said that he hates crowds. Bubba doesn't like people. He doesn't like playing in front of people. He doesn't like people watching him. Okay, now you don't have fans at all. He missed the cut in 4 of his first 6 starts after that. And so I said, okay, well, if he's not going to play well in front of nobody, then at some point you just kind of jump off. He led the field in strokes gained tee to green, played really well on the weekend. And now I find myself at Sherwood where he's just going to just tear apart the par fives. And in SoCal where, I mentioned Riviera, he's won at Riviera, sacrilegious to compare these two golf courses. Riviera is a world-class golf course. Sherwood is pretty cool. It's a couple notches below. But the fact that Bubba Watson is hitting the ball so well right now, I feel like I got to jump on him. So, I mean, maybe not necessarily my favorite play this week, but kind of ties everything together right now. The fact that he played really well last week, kind of like him this week, and then we got the Masters coming up in just a few.
Yeah, I mean, definitely like him at Augusta. I mean,
Yeah.
Bubba, that is a perfect track for him. We've seen it a million times. I mean, if you just take his whole Masters career and compare it to the rest of his golf, like it's just clearly a place that works for him, and course history matters more to Augusta than any other course. So with you, love what I'm seeing in terms of off the tee stats. Tee to green was number 1, like you mentioned. And yeah, he's starting to pop up. We'll see how expensive he gets. But this week, I think he's really interesting. I mean, I think there's a lot of really compelling guys. It's just a matter of kind of how you want to prioritize, where you're going in DFS. And then from a betting perspective, I see some value kind of in like the mid tier again. I do think there's a couple other guys, I'm going to be on Rahm again, of course, but yeah, I think it's a really interesting week, and I don't mind Bubba at all. Who would you take straight up this week? Do you like Bubba more, or do you like Kokrak more?
I like Bubba more than Kokrak. I like Kokrak. Like I said, I've got him down for top 10 this week. I think Kokrak's going to play well. I think he's hitting it well. I think just sort of we talk about the human element. We talk about analytics, but we talk about the human element. The human element for Kokrak is, oh man, I finally won. That felt good. Let me go out there and just play like free and easy. They can't take away that trophy from me. And let me go out there and have some fun playing golf. And so I think Kokrak's going to play well. But yeah, Bubba is one of my favorite picks this week. Pete, I start looking at this. There are a few guys, and it doesn't always work out this way. Sometimes I look at the mid-tier and I say, okay, I've got a few mid-tier guys. Then I look at the lower tier and I say, I've got a few guys I love at that lower tier, guys who are really cheap for DFS, guys who are triple digits as far as odds. But I can't figure out the upper tier. This week's the opposite. About 3 or 4 guys, maybe 5 guys, that upper to mid-upper tier that I really like. Then I get down to that lower tier and I'm like, I'm not really.
Let's hear it. Let's hear let's give me your top 5 guys.
Okay, so right off the top, I am with you on Rahm. Rahm has just proven that, on any given week, you can go out there and play, obviously, really good golf. I put him in my column this week as my DFS free bingo square. I call it the safe play. And the reason for that is that looking back over the last couple of years, Jon Rahm plays his best golf on the second week of a 2-week stretch. In fact, 5 global victories since the beginning of 2019. 4 of those came during the second week of the 2-week stretch. And really, it didn't matter how he played the week before. So, he just kind of goes out there and once he gets into a groove, starts playing well. Then there's the fact that according to Data Golf, which I've mentioned in the past, a website which does some great work and has a course fit tool, the top 2 courses as far as correlations to Sherwood Country Club are Muirfield Village and Innisbrook's Copperhead course. Jon Rahm won at Muirfield Village this year. Last year at the Valspar Championship at Innisbrook, he was T6. I mean, it's just everything in play for Jon Rahm. So really like him this week. Yeah, jump in.
No, I know you're with me. I mean, I just think he's the best golfer in the world. So you can, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there you go. Or you could just say that. Or I can
No,
sit
but
here
I
and talk
like
about it
that.
for 4 minutes and break down why I like him this week. Or you could just go, well, he's the best player in the world. And
I
like,
think
yeah,
he's the
that
best player
works
in the
too.
world, most consistent, and what you said is true. Golfers in general play better when the more they play, it's predictive. So that's
Yeah.
a good thing for Rom. And yeah, I'm curious about the other ones because I have a couple guys that I'm interested in, but I guess I'm
Okay.
more mid tier than you this
All
week.
right. So like Rom, like Bubba. Favorite outright pick this week. Again, a guy that I don't take that often, Patrick Reed.
Ooh,
And again,
that's a
you've
good
got that Muirfield and Innisbrook correlation. He's got 2 top tens and 5 career starts at Muirfield, and he's never missed the cut there. He's a 2-time runner-up at Valspar, so he likes that golf course. There's a correlation. The other part of this, and I call me crazy because this might not make any sense whatsoever, but with Tiger as the defending champ, with Sherwood as the previous host of Tiger's World Challenge event for 14 years, it's going to take on, even though this doesn't benefit Tiger's foundation, he's not the actual host, this is going to feel like Tiger's event. It's just going to feel like it's Tiger and everybody else, and Tiger's running this thing. Patrick Reed loves showing off for Tiger. Tiger's his idol. He's made no bones about it. I wouldn't be surprised if, and we're taping this on Monday night and we don't know the tee times yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if Tiger and Patrick are playing together this week. And Patrick loves, like I said, showing off for Tiger. I would not be surprised if Patrick Reed, with 3 finishes of 13th or better in his last 3 worldwide starts, I think he's such a smart play this week. What do you think about that one?
I like Patrick Reed. I don't have anything negative to say. That was not one of the guys that I anticipated you saying. I have a feeling on one guy that I think you're definitely going to say. And that's probably the guy I'm most interested in this week at the top.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be the guy that I have. I've got 2 other guys, and
Hear him.
yeah. What
Let's
do you
hear him.
got?
Well, I thought you were going to say
Okay.
Joaquin Neiman. I can jump in. I
Yeah,
thought you were
I
gonna say
like
Joaquin.
Neiman too. Sure, I like Neiman every week.
Yeah. Okay. I like Neiman this week, actually.
Okay.
33-1. And by the way, Patrick Reed, 22-1 on MGM as we're recording here. Kokrak, 45-1. And Bubba is moving 33-1.
Yeah. I like all those guys. Neiman's a guy I'm basically just like at sort of every week for me now. I don't know that I would completely fire as far as outrights. At 33 actually feels a little bit too low for me, but as a mid-tier, sort of upper mid-tier DFS play, I think he's another sharp play. 2 other guys I'll give you, since I said I like this high tier, and then we can get into some of yours because I feel like I'm taking up too much time with all mine. But Hideki, once again, I mean, same old Hideki story last week. Hit the ball really well, didn't make any putts.
Yeah.
But Hideki is a guy. Think of it this way, and I hope this doesn't come across like xenophobic or anything like that. But if there was an American who played on the Japan tour and an American company was sponsoring a big event over there, don't you think the American player would get a little more motivated to play in that event and really try to impress the sponsors and try to win the American event in Japan? And so now there's a Japanese event. It's usually in Japan. It's a Japanese company that is the title sponsor. Hideki is the best player from Japan in the world, of course, and they're playing in America. I would just think that Hideki, there's a little more motivation for Hideki to show them like, hey, look what I can do. And so I like Hideki. And the last name I'll throw out there for you, as far as sort of this upper tier, we have not seen a lot of Adam Scott. But in my mind right now, just if Adam Scott's going to show up, he's showing up with a purpose. And so his purpose is not to, hey, well, I've had nothing else to do. I figured I'd play some golf. His purpose is, hey, I'm going to show up and I'm going to play really well. We forget. I mean, it feels like 10 years ago, but he won at Riviera this year.
I know.
So, Adam Scott's a guy that I think can play some really good golf. Of course, we don't know what kind of form he's going to be in, but he's usually not in bad form. And even if you don't like him, I would think about showdown lineups going into the weekend where, maybe a live sort of top 10 bet on Adam if he's not that close to it going into the weekend. Something where you get a couple of rounds under his belt and then fire on Adam Scott going into the weekend where he gets a little bit of momentum.
I mean, I remember like it was yesterday watching him win Riviera. I was rooting for Varner, but kudos to Adam Scott, just a beautiful ball striker. And he's figured out whatever he's doing, the putting, the broom that he's got. I don't know all the anchoring stuff and whatever, but he's figured out something that seems to be working. So I like Adam Scott and agree with you. I think that there's some interesting value on Matsuyama, and honor is obviously a huge part of their society. So hopefully he wins. I'm rooting for Matsuyama to get more wins. Too good of a golfer not to have as many wins. I like the mid tier a ton, a lot. I really like a couple of these guys. Kokrak's interesting to me again. I probably prefer him in like a matchup or a top 5, top 10. Outright's too steep at 45-1.
Yep, I agree.
Sungjae 50-1. I see tremendous value in that.
I agree with that.
I think he's right up there with Henley's 40-1. Wolf is 33-1. Scheffler's 40-1, who I love. Answer's 45-1. I think Sungjae is as good as all those guys. So I like him quite a bit. Sebastian Munoz is someone that I've been on a lot lately. Starting a little more expensive, so I'm not as excited to click him. He's 80-1 on BetMGM, but top 5, top 10 bets, as well as DFS makes a lot of sense to me. And then the guy that I'm for sure on that I think is like a really.
I think I know it. I think I might know.
Who?
I might have it. Do I get another hint, or you just?
He played really well last week.
Matthew Fitzpatrick.
Oh, he's way up there. I like Fitzpatrick, but
okay.
This guy's. I'll give you one more guess. This guy's 100-1 on BetMGM. Played really well last week. Top 5 finish.
Russell Henley.
Taylor Gooch.
Oh, Gooch. Okay, yeah.
Well, he's 100-1, but he's like 7K on DraftKings. If you look at his trajectory, it is really good. I mean, he's like just keeps climbing every year in FedEx Cup points. His finishes as a whole are really trending. A lot of good ball striking stats. So Taylor Gooch is someone that I think is on the verge of being properly priced, but still showing good value. I liked him a lot last week. Some long numbers on him, and I think he's someone that makes sense that he's peaking. He's 28 years old. He's been out there, Oklahoma State with a lot of these other guys. Really, really just solid player in all aspects. Saw him hitting like a lot of sawed off, kind of like reminded me of like Charles Howell's swing, and he was just hitting bullets. So
he's a guy right up your alley. He's a pure ball striker.
Right.
Doesn't make a ton of putts, but I mean, when you look at all the numbers, he's going to be a guy that you wind up playing a lot over the next couple of years.
Yeah, and he's just been good strokes gained basically everywhere other than putting. And it's the trajectory is very good. I mean, 2019 he's 73rd strokes gained total. Tee to green he's 78th. Last year he ends up being 57 strokes gained total, and he's trending this year. I mean, coming up, obviously it's a shorter sample so far, but
sure,
I like what I've seen from Gooch.
Yeah, no, I think he's a very good player. I've been a big Gooch guy for a while. I've taken him at some lower prices as far as DFS and top 10s, top 20s. He's not as consistent as you'd like him to be right now, but I think in these no-cut limited field events, I think he's a nice play just because the ball striking is so good and he should be able to make some birdies. Let's look at this lower tier because I mentioned earlier that I'm struggling with the lower tier just a little bit, but I've got two guys that I've sort of pinpointed that I think are, first of all, undervalued, both in the betting markets and on DFS. And secondly, guys that I think could really pop this week. The first of those is Danny Lee. And I know there's no single one predictive statistic which tells us, hey, this is a guy that's going to play well the next week. But I love looking at tee to green ball striking in the Sunday final round 1 week before this tournament. So just in the previous week, 3 or 4 days before they're ready to tee it up. Danny Lee led the field in strokes gained tee to green on Sunday at Shadow Creek. That to me speaks volumes about how well he's hitting the ball and how that might come across this week. I think he is, like I said, just undervalued across the marketplace. And then another guy that I think plays his best golf on the West Coast and we know makes a ton of birdies. He's still, as we said last week, a high ceiling, low floor kind of guy. But I think Joel Damon just might get a little motivation too from Jason Kokrak, looking at him saying, you know what, he's been out here for a long time. He did it in a field like this. I can do it too. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Joel Damon contending for a title this week.